Well, hello everybody. You know, a couple years ago, a member of my church came to my office at a time in which she was already in such a hard, dark place. Her husband wanted a divorce and she had 3 little children and she was extremely depressed at that time. But it was also in those moments that her doctor said something to her that just shocked her. The doctor said these words that most of us will never want to hear. "I'm sorry, but you have cancer." And that was after a routine check. So she told me how everything around her got incredibly quiet, and it seemed as if nothing was moving. And if in fact things were moving, they were moving slowly. And she said, "I could hear the doctor continuing to talk, but I couldn't make out his words. After he told me I had cancer, I couldn't figure out anything else he said. I could feel words trying to form in his mouth, but I couldn't hear anything. But even in my mouth, there was no energy to actually speak in response to what he was saying. I knew I should have probably cried. I knew that I should have shouted and screamed, but no tears seemed available, and I didn't figure out how to even yell it out." She then told me, "I am absolutely a woman who believes with all her heart," she said, "that the presence of God is in the midst of my life." But in that particular moment, she said, "Pastor, she felt distant and mysterious. She was just stunned. And then all of a sudden, she said, I felt okay." And then she turns around right after that and says, "Suddenly I felt stunned again. I wanted to hold it together, but then falling apart seemed quite reasonable to me at that particular time." She says, "I was scary. I was afraid when the doctor shocked me with this test result. I didn't know what the future was now going to hold for me and my 3 children, with the absence of my husband." But she said it was during that time that God had so many people around her who shared simple words that became powerful revelations, reminding her how very near God was to her. She said, "I believed also that it's in times like these that desperation often leads us to great revelation," she said. It was powerful at that moment in that office. She said, "All you have to do is make the choice to look for and to be open to these powerful alternatives to even bad news." And she shared with me an example of how there was one email that got to her from a friend that totally shifted her. And the email note simply said, "This is news, but this is not the total truth with regards to cancer." And she said, "Wow," I said to myself, "I've always thought of news and truth as one and the same." But a new revelation came to her. She basically says what the doctor gave her was news. It was honest news. She had cancer based on test results and medical facts. But then after she began to access what was the truth, she discovered that the truth transcended the news. She said to herself, it was impossible to shift, but it became possible when she understood that there were human limitations and that God was a limitless God. So truth factored into the equation, but God factored in to something greater. So she soon found herself looking at the word impossible, a little different, impossible. In light of her friend's email note, she could completely be different if she just stick to the apostrophe between the first 2 letters. Impossible can become I'm possible. That God is great and is the great I am. Therefore, he becomes the possibility for hope and healing during times of distress. Listen to me, my friend. Here's what I'm trying to say. Maybe you just got some bad news. News of an impossible financial situation. News of an impossible family situation. News of an impossible job situation. News of an impossible friend situation. News of an impossible medical situation. News of an impossible global situation. Whatever news you just got or will get, I pray that you do what the member did and what the member's friend advised her to do. What you've heard is news, but there is something that is different from news and greater than news, and it's called God's truth. And so God is always making a way for you. He even said this, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. John 14:6. And God reminds us that he is forever faithful, that no matter what happened, he is faithful in making a way out of no way. He said he is the maker of heaven and earth, the sea and everything in them. He remains faithful forever. Psalms 146:6. He even says, I'm holding you up. I'm the one doing that in spite of cancer. Yet I am always with you. You hold me by my right hand, says the psalmist in Psalm 73:23. And so one of the greatest comforts to us is this. No matter what you're facing, know that somehow God will use it for good. That God will be your possibility in the midst of what can sometimes feel so impossible. Of course, even if you still have those less spiritually secure moments when you feel like you're sinking into a consuming fear of the unknown, just remember that when you're thankful in spite of, God will absolutely guide you in his truth and teach you all things. Psalms 23:25-5. Y'all have a blessed day. God be with you until we talk again.
With your power, you perform miracles. There is nothing that's impossible. And we're standing here. You move mountains. You cause walls to fall. With your power, God, perform miracles. There is nothing that's impossible. You move, you cause walls to fall. With your power, there is nothing that's impossible. We're standing here, and we're standing here, and we're standing here. You made a way, God. You made a way. You made. You made a way. You made. You made a way. And we're standing here. Only because you made a way.